Hello, everybody. Welcome back to A Cult of Misfits. I'm Matt Owens. If you're looking for additional content of mine, you can check A Cult of Misfits out on Instagram and Twitter, or X, if you choose to call it that. That's all right. I won't judge you. I'm looking to monetize the podcast, so if you'd like to help me out and do me a solid, I would really appreciate it if you could follow me on whatever platform you're listening to the podcast on. I'm on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, etc. So thank you to everybody who's been supporting me and checking out the podcast. Love you. I've been having a bit of a rough month, and so that's what we're going to get into today. A few days ago, I have this little secret spot that I like to go to when I go on my walks. There's this lake nearby, and it's a busy area. It's attached to this busy park, but I like to go off the beaten path, and there's this little secret trail that leads down to like an abandoned dock. It's like this cement dock that, has completely grown over with bushes and trees, and I can just sit by the lake. It's away from the main trail. The only people that know about it are like teenagers who sneak down there. I always see empty bottles of cheap vodka in plastic bottles, so I know that the teenagers are up to shenanigans down there. And so I like to sneak down there, and it's a way for me to just sort of zen out and connect with the universe and just be peaceful. And so that's what I did a few days ago. I snuck down to my little secret spot because I just needed to have a little conversation with the divine and work through some stuff. And so that's what I did. I walked down there with Chi-Chi, set myself up, and got myself prepared for a good cry, is what I'm talking about here. I sat down and I just kind of start talking to the universe, talking to the divine, talking to God, just sort of airing my grievances, airing my frustrations, just trying to connect and work through these really intense emotions that I've been dealing with the last month. And it involved a lot of tears. When I do this, I talk out loud. That's why I don't like to, do it on the park bench on my walks, because I like to have a little solitude so that I can let the tears flow, let the anger flow, let whatever emotions need to flow, and I can do it in the privacy of just me and God and Chi-Chi. So that's what I did. I sort of let her rip, and I'm talking out loud to the all that is, and it was a really intense session, and I'm a lot of ugly crying, a lot of yelling, then a lot of just working through stuff. And so for about 20 or 30 minutes, that's what I was doing, and it felt really good. It's just real serene down there by the lake. And so after about 20 or 30 minutes of this intense release, I'm just kind of calming down and just sort of watching the lake. And I look over to my left, and there's some bushes there. Like I said, everything's kind of overgrown. And so I look to my left, and slowly emerging from behind these bushes, 20 feet away from me, is this man. And he's wearing head-to-toe camouflage. And he is gliding across the water in a completely camouflaged canoe. And it turns out that while I was bearing my soul and ugly crying, he was 20 feet away behind the bushes, listening the entire time as he was fishing. So I didn't know what else to do. He just kind of looked at me and just kind of nodded hello, sir. And I'm like, okay, hi, you definitely heard all of that. So glad you get a little peek inside my soul today. Wish you would have come out a little bit earlier from your hiding spot, but that's all right. Why he needs to be in all camouflage when he's fishing, I don't know. I don't think the camouflage works with fish, but guys, what do I know? I'm not a hunter. So, I didn't know what else to do. It was very awkward. He just kind of kept gliding past me very, very slowly and not quickly enough for my taste. I just wanted to get out of there at that point. So that's what I did. I gathered up my things and I just retreated. It was a little awkward. So that happened a few days ago, and what I want to talk about today is sort of what I've been working through, the stuff that I've sort of been struggling with this last month. For those of you, fans of the show, hi, love you, I see you. Fans of the show will notice that I've sort of been on a little hiatus this month. I haven't really been posting that much on social media or any podcasts, and I wanted to go into why. I often will take a break from things. I'll take a break from social media when I'm kind of feeling imbalanced, or I'll take a break from alcohol, or take a break from marijuana, or take a break from sugar, or take a break from coffee, or take a break from whatever it is that I'm obsessively consuming. And so I've been doing this for years, where I realize, look, I really like marijuana or alcohol or fill in the blank. I like these things and I don't want to give them up permanently. So I try to find some sort of semblance of balance by, taking a week off or taking a month off from whatever it is. Sometimes I'll, take a month off from drinking or smoking just to sort of rebalance, but also to prove to myself that I can actually do it, right? It's always been important to me to say well, look, I can do anything. So I'm going to take a month off, but then I inevitably always end up going right back to it, right? And then I just play this game, this yo-yo game of going back and forth of, over-consuming, becoming imbalanced, and then taking a week or a month off, and then doing it again and becoming imbalanced again, and then taking a week or a month off. And so that's what I've been doing for my entire adulthood, right? And so at the beginning of May, I started realizing some physical symptoms. Earlier this month, I realized that my teeth were chattering a lot. I'm chattering my teeth. And I felt like a crackhead, to be honest with you. I was just my teeth were chattering all the time. And it was because of the caffeine I was drinking every morning. My teeth were chattering and I started my hands were all shaky. And so I kind of reduced it down to even a cup a day in the morning. But I was still finding that I was still having these same physical symptoms, teeth chattering, hands shaking, I was kind of nervously gnawing on my tongue with my molars, just kind of chewing on my tongue. And I'm what the fuck is going on? I feel like a total crackhead here. And so I thought I need to address this and figure out what's the deal with coffee and how it's affecting me. And I wasn't getting any sleep. I was just kind of feeling really fatigued all the time and just brain fog, And so I just wasn't in a good place physically. And I've been there before, and usually, like I said, I take these breaks, but I thought, okay, fine. I'm gonna reduce my coffee to a cup a day. I'm going to take a month off from marijuana. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna take a month off from marijuana and just sort of see where we go from there. And so that's what I did. My nervous system at that point was it just felt jacked, just really jacked up all the time. I was always just in the state of, I didn't like it, right? Just sort of jittery and tired, and I just felt gross every day. And I realized I kind of get into these patterns. I've done this my whole adult life. That's why we're talking about this. My whole adult life, the pattern has been, I always tell myself that I can't really sleep at night, right? I have trouble sleeping. I always have my whole life. And so to combat that, what I have found works really well is to just drink a lot of alcohol and get blackout drunk. And then I sleep real good that night, right? Night, what I do is I crash my body at night. And so then at some point along the way, I discovered weed, and weed definitely did the same thing. So whether I was smoking or drinking, the goal was to crash my body so that I will just fucking sleep. And I've been doing that for my entire adult life, right? But what the pattern is that I will smoke or drink at night, every single night. And then, of course, when I consume those things, they make me want to eat shitty food, whether that's sugar or fast food or carbs or whatever. So now I'm, consuming these things to force me to sleep, but in conjunction with that, I'm eating a bunch of food right before bed. And so my body crashes, and then the whole night my body is trying to process all of these things that I've crammed into myself, right? And then because of that, I wake up the next morning and I'm totally groggy and tired and usually very grumpy and irritable. And so to combat that feeling, I will then chug a bunch of coffee to jolt my body awake again because of what I did the night before. And it's just this endless pattern over and over and over again since the beginning of time. And so I started thinking about it. But I wasn't ready to give up on any of these things, but I thought like, this isn't working, right? And I had given up. Just Memorial Day was just a few days ago, and on Memorial Day, I'd spent the whole month not smoking weed, and so I thought, like, I'm struggling here. Even though I wasn't smoking, I was still drinking coffee and alcohol, and just generally feeling like shit. And so finally, I had had enough. I hadn't smoked in weeks, and I thought, like, okay, let's see if smoking weed will kind of help rebalance things here. So on Memorial Day, just a few days ago, I smoked weed. I was like, I just need to get to fucking sleep. I just need my body to sleep, and that will solve everything. So I smoked weed on Memorial Day, and it was one of the worst experiences smoking that I've ever had in my life. I was extremely paranoid and jumpy and nervous the whole time. And I'm like, what the fuck is this, right? And I start getting into my head, and it lowers my vibration to a point where I start, like, hating on myself and, you're such a piece of shit. You have no self-control, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. The last several years, I've been working very hard on controlling those lines of dialogue within my own head. And they all came swarming back. They all came flooding back, and I started feeling like garbage mentally and getting down on myself. And I'm like, this is truly awful. And it got to the point where I just wanted the high to be over, right? I didn't even smoke that much weed, and I was like, this sucks, and I don't want to be high anymore. I don't like this. I hate this, and I've never really felt like that before. Like, every time I smoked, it's been really great. Even the times when I'm smoking a little too much, I've never felt that way before. So, it was really awful. And while I was in that state, the universe came. Divinity came and whispered in my ear lovingly and said, there's some things we need to talk about. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. What are they going to say here? So I'm sitting there stoned, just in this terrible place. And I was reminded that there's a big fear in my life that I haven't dealt with yet. And for those of you that have been following me for a while, you know that the last few years, I've really been dedicating myself to actively, intentionally facing my fears so that I can conquer them. And that includes, running towards my fears instead of running away from my fears like I have my entire life. And part of this process of running towards my fears means that there's going to be a brief period that's going to really suck. It's going to be really difficult and really suck, and I'm going to have to go through the fire. But I've done it enough times over the last few years that I've gotten used to the process. I had a big fear of arachnophobia, and I actively and consciously ran towards that fear because I didn't want to be scared of spiders anymore. And so slowly, baby steps over time, I acclimated myself and got closer and closer to spiders so that I could eventually stop being scared of spiders. That's what I found it's very successful. When I just run towards these things and start doing them over and over again, eventually I'm no longer scared of these things and I conquer them, right? Another example is my entire life, I had a lot of body image issues, right? I just hated my body. I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm disgusting, I'm embarrassed to take my shirt off at the pool, that sort of a thing. And so the best way to conquer that fear is to take off my fucking shirt at the pool and keep walking around the pool and letting everybody gaze upon my gorgeous body until I'm no longer afraid of it. And so these are just sort of the examples of things that I do, is I just keep doing the exact thing that scares the shit out of me over and over and over again until it no longer scares the shit out of me. And I know that there's going to be a period of suck. There's going to be a period that's going to really be awful. But I've done it enough times now successfully that I know that that period doesn't last forever. And eventually I get myself to a place where I'm through the fire, where I'm through the suck, and that thing no longer scares me anymore. And so anytime the universe shows me a new fear that I can conquer, gives me another opportunity to face that fear, I'm always like, my initial reaction is like, well, fuck. Like, here we go again, because I know that I'm in for a world of pain, but I know that on the other side of that is freedom, right? And I often talk about freedom. What I'm ultimately trying to manifest at any given moment is freedom. I want to be free from all of it. Free from the fear, right? Free from the attachment, free from all of it, right? I don't want anything to be holding me down. And I might even say all of these things are all in my own mind, right? I am capable of freeing myself. There's nobody that's keeping me down, but my own, limiting beliefs. I have these limiting beliefs around weed or alcohol or anything like that. My limiting beliefs are like, I can't be creative if I'm not smoking weed, right? I can't sleep at night if I'm not stoned or drunk, right? I can't be interesting or have a fun personality if I'm not stoned. I can't record a podcast and be fun if I'm not stoned, right? I can't connect to spirit if I'm not stoned, right? These are all limiting beliefs because they're all BS, right? It's all just that voice in our head telling us that, right? Sometimes I call that voice in my head Hal, like the AI system on board the spaceship in 2001: A Space Odyssey, right? It's the adversary. And the adversary within our own mind is there to try to topple us, to take us down, right? The opponent. And the opponent will often whisper these things in my ear, telling me these sweet lies, trying to convince me that I can't survive without fill in the blank. Weed, alcohol, coffee, whatever. And so as I'm in this state on Memorial Day of just this awful state, the divine reminded me that there's this big fear that I've been avoiding this whole time. And I know that I've been avoiding it. I've been putting it on the back burner, dealing with other fears that seem more manageable, right? Dealing with other fears that I think I can deal with, just kind of putting it off, kicking that can down the road, going, well, I'll deal with that later. I'll deal with that fear later because it's too big right now and I don't want to deal with it. It's very easy to do that. It's very easy to do that, right? Because it's fucking scary, right? Those big boys that have been staring at us our whole life, and we like to bury them down deep. I don't want to look at that. Too scary. No, thank you. But these last few years, I've really been on a mission to hunt down and seek out those fears and to lock eyes with them and to defeat those motherfuckers, right? And so the fear that I've been avoiding this whole time is a fear of sobriety. I've been putting that boy off for a long time. Like, okay, I'm not ready for that yet. I need to be stoned to get through this shit. I need to be drunk to get through this shit. I need some coffee. I'll deal with you later, big boy. And so as I'm curled up in a paranoid ball, stoned out of my mind, my mouth is drier than the Sahara Desert, right? My body is just like shutting down, going like, what the fuck are we doing here? The universe lovingly reminds me and suggests that perhaps this is the time that we finally tackle the big boy. Sobriety. That voice in our head, the adversary, Hal, is real slippery and real cunning and knows exactly what to say at just the right time to try to convince me to stay within my comfort zone. Right? And the adversary is real good at it. Real good at its job. Convincing me to stay where I am. Don't head into unknown territory. That's too scary. Just stay where we are. Keep doing the same things we've been doing forever. And stay within that deadly comfort zone. But what I've learned the last few years is that the comfort zone is where I go to die. And if there's to be any growth and rebirth in my life, it's imperative that I venture outside of that comfort zone. That includes doing things I've never done before, doing things that scare the living shit out of me, things that I don't want to deal with. But I know deep down inside, my spirit, my soul knows that it's what I need to do. I think when we reincarnate into this world, that there are certain things that our soul wants to accomplish. And I've known for a long time that sobriety is on the table and needs to be dealt with in this lifetime. And so when I got the message that it's time, I was like, okay. God damn it. Fuck. Fine. Okay, I got to deal with this. And the time feels right. Every other time I've tried to deal with it, to address it, it's been too big. I'm not ready for that yet. It feels forced. I feel like, I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I don't want to, stop trying to force me to be sober, whether it's perceived from my family or society or even the own fucking voice in my head telling me to do it. I'm like, just shut up. I'll do it in my own time. Leave me alone. I don't want to do it. I'm scared. But it finally feels right. It finally feels time. I feel like these last few years I've been embarking on this wild journey, this wild path that has led me down some real crazy places, real dark and scary places, to be honest with you. But ultimately, I know that once I've gone through those places, they've made me stronger. And if I'm trying to manifest freedom in my life, then I know that I can't have attachments to substances. And I've always tried to ignore it. Like, yeah. I know what the Buddhists say about reaching nirvana, and it's not possible unless you release all attachments. I'm like, yeah, but can I still reach nirvana if I'm drunk? Like, what are the rules on that? Are there any loopholes where I can smoke weed and still reach nirvana, right? I try to talk myself out of it or into it. The adversary is always trying to convince me to find a little loophole, right? Well, maybe if I just take little breaks now and then from marijuana, that's okay, right? That's balanced, isn't it? Yeah, okay, that sounds good. The adversary is a real tricky SOB, right? I always found real convincing ways to convince myself to continue using these substances, right? When I'm in a bad mood, I can use them to pep up a little bit, right? I can always find an excuse to keep using them. The truth is, every podcast that I've ever recorded, I've had past podcasts before this one, previous iterations of it that I've used different names or whatever just to sort of practice. But the truth is that I've always smoked during all of them. I've smoked during every single one of them. And I always talk about how we wear these masks, right? We pretend to be one way around these people and another way around other people, around our family or our coworkers or this community or that community. And these last few years, I've been really actively trying to shed all of those masks, right? I just want to be my true, authentic self. And I want to just be who I am at any given time. And I realized that if I'm recording all of these podcasts while I'm completely stoned out of my mind every time in order to be more entertaining or funny or creative or whatever the adversary is telling me, then I'm not really being my true authentic self, am I? I've only recorded one podcast. It was actually like an Instagram Live or something, and I just wanted to test it out to see for myself if I could actually do an Instagram Live completely sober. And I did it, and it was not my best work, right? I was like, well, that sucked. I just need to go back to smoking again. So I was like, okay, well, I did it. There, I'm happy. I proved it to myself. I did it one time, and now I'm going back to smoking again. And so the idea of recording a podcast while completely sober is terrifying to me. Right? Because I've never done it before. And the adversary has told me that it's not possible, right? That I'm not going to be good enough, or it's not going to be entertaining, or it's going to be too boring, or my personality isn't good unless I am completely stoned, right? And so, in order to continue pursuing this this path of dropping all the masks and becoming my true authentic self, because the truth is, carrying all those masks around, it's fucking exhausting. Right? I have this giant bag of masks that I've been dragging around with me my whole life, right? And anytime I'm around these people, I'll dig into my bag of masks and pull it out and pretend to be somebody that I'm not, right? But the truth is that I'm done with the masks. And as far as I know, this is the last mask, the final mask. And the divine has let me know that in order to gain this freedom that I've been so desperately seeking all these years, that I've been actively pursuing all of these years, that I need to drop this final mask and to just be myself. And the truth is, my entire adulthood, I have rarely been sober. And I didn't realize that until I started thinking about it. I have been... I tried to avoid it for a while because alcoholism runs in my family, and my mother has struggled with addiction her entire life. And she recently has chosen to become sober. And she's done the same thing I have, this up and down, up and down. I'll be sober for a little bit and then back to drinking again or whatever. And so she's really made a final stand in her own life, and to be honest with you, it's very inspiring to me. And I realize that if she can do it, then I can do it. And if I can do it, then you can do it. And anybody can do it. We all know we can do it, right? And if we just don't listen to these limiting beliefs in our heads, because they're all lies, right? They're just lies that the adversary is trying to tell us. And if we can just get to a place where we don't listen to the lies and override that programming, put a mute on that voice, then we can do anything, right? My whole life I have been cowering in the corner, this wimpy little scared boy, right? And the past few years I've been trying to reprogram that and to remind myself that I'm in fact limitless, that I'm in fact unstoppable. And the way that I become limitless and become unstoppable is by discarding these limiting beliefs, discarding these masks, and discarding all of these crutches and substances that I think that I need in order to be my true authentic self. And it's simply not true. Right? Thinking that I need to smoke weed in order to connect to God is absurd. It's like thinking I need a priest in order to talk to the divine. It's just, I don't believe that's how it works, right? And so I'm at this place where I'm finally ready to start this new journey, this new chapter. I feel like the last several years have been all leading to this moment. And I've known the whole time that the linchpin to this whole thing is letting go of my addictions. And it finally feels right. I feel like I'm on the cusp, on the edge of this new chapter. I feel like the image of the phoenix, the mythical bird that burns down to the ashes and then, miraculously and triumphantly rises again from those ashes as a new being, as a new chapter, as a fresh start. And it's this cycle over and over again of death and rebirth, death and rebirth. And I feel like the last several years have been about me shedding my old life, the old me, and metaphorically killing those aspects of myself, of who I thought that I was. And in doing so, I've been turning the old me and my old life into ashes. And I feel like I'm so close. And I look at all the ashes around me of my old life, and I've still got a few little tiny burning embers within that's about to die out before the phoenix bursts forth again and starts fresh and anew. And so I feel like I'm on the edge, and I'm really close to something big and something beautiful and something amazing. But I know that in order for that to manifest, and in order for that to come forth, that I have to let go of this final thing, this final mask. And I have to become sober. And so I was very nervous about making this podcast for several reasons, because I've never really truly recorded a podcast sober, and so that scares the hell out of me. And So I feel like this new chapter is all about being brave and being bold and embracing the true me and who I really am. And it's terrifying and exciting all at the same time. And so I would love for you guys to join me on this journey and see the beautiful unfolding of my next chapter and the ending of this chapter and what comes next. But thank you for listening, and perhaps this can inspire you to do the same, to follow a similar path to what I'm doing. And I know that you'll forgive me if I'm a little wobbly for a bit while I sort of rebalance and my body readjusts and my mind and everything readjusts. I may not be recording podcasts or posting on social media as I often do while I rebalance, but I'm feeling good, and I'm feeling like this is exactly where I'm meant to be, and I'm very excited for what's to come. So thank you to everybody for supporting me in this journey and following the podcast, and I love you.